Welcome to Stop Whining About Real Estate. Join us as we chat, sip, banter, and wine with the best in the biz. Grab a glass of your favorite vino, sit back, relax, and let's wine together. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Stop Whining About Real Estate. My name is Sarah Birnbaum, your host. My co-host is Emmanuel St. Germain. And our guest today is the creator of SoooBoca. She's an agent with Real Brokerage, and her name is Michele Bellisari, and she is a long time local of Boca Raton. So she's an expert.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? I'm so happy to
How
have
are
you here.
I'm so excited.
I love the pink and the pink. We'll do a cheers.
And the pink, there
to
we
kick
go.
us off.
There we go.
So we're drinking a little rosé. The purpose of, as we call the name of this podcast, Stop Whining.
Yes.
So it's a little play on words. We like to enjoy
I love the bubbly.
bubble and talk a little
wine.
real estate, talk a little life and things of that
Can
nature.
we talk a little bit about real estate whining? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
Yes,
the whole.
we can.
That's one of the things we want you to do.
We're going to do a lot of that. Really quick, I wanted to kind of pick up from the conversation that we were having right before we started. We were talking about social media, the differences, the ideal way to do it professionally, but keep it authentic, and then the ChatGPT kind of integration of it. So you were mentioning that when it first came out, you started using it right away.
Oh my gosh. I think I found out about it on Clubhouse because I am an OG on Clubhouse, which is the audio app. And yes, it's still a thing for some of
I was
us.
just going to say, what's Clubhouse?
It's an audio app that we all met on during COVID. And it was amazing. I met probably 50 or 60 real estate agents that I'm still in touch with today.
That's awesome.
We mastermind all the time. We have meetups at Tom Ferry last year at Summit. We had a big meetup and a dinner. However, the thing that comes out of those masterminds is always the newest and greatest things in ChatGPT. So I'm like, what is this ChatGPT? And I sat there with my best friend from University of Florida. She came to visit because I was co-hosting the Real Housewives event at Meisner Park at the studio.
Okay.
So she came into town for that. And literally I said, oh my God, this is the best thing since sliced bread. I said, because I have courses and I do freebies for the consumer in real estate. I do freebies for real estate agents. And then I was like, oh, I went down that hole for like 4 days.
Big rabbit hole.
Binging it. But I realized this was going to be a huge game changer for content creators and those agents and professionals who weren't really content creators, who needed help with creating the content, and then also the content creators who are just so burnt out of creating content.
Yeah.
Right? The biggest takeaway I always say is make sure you're not plagiarizing and run it through a plagiarizing software.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're going to write a blog or you're going to do something like that, make sure you're checking to make sure it's not something that somebody else already wrote.
For sure. And I also think maybe like a read over and change some of the words that you wouldn't normally use. Because I've run into issues where I kind of got lazy and used it. And somebody that knows me well was like, you've never said that word ever in your life.
Yeah.
So, just adding a little touch of yourself.
Well, you can tell when an email is written because it has that one line at the beginning that says, I hope you're doing well. Or there's one line and I'm going to take that out.
Yeah.
I think we've used it. So for us, we were just chatting about creating some blog posts and turning into videos and some of that stuff. And so for me, it's a starter. It's a warm-up kit.
Template, if you will.
Template, if you will. Yes. Well said, Sarah.
A great template.
And so you're able to use that. Then you say, all right, let me put it into my own words. And I'll give you, in our studio here, I'll give you a great little example of what happens when you don't. So we were doing a products library and I don't want to be the only one constantly doing videos. So we had assigned to lots of different individuals. And what I hadn't realized is that none of them actually printed their script, reviewed their script. They just came on, looked at the teleprompter that's in front of you, and they started reading like this. And they don't, it was it literally was like a Ron Burgundy commercial for that. And you have to make it your own. Yeah. And you have to realize, when you are speaking, you have to go up, you have to go down, you have to talk louder, you have to, you have to change all of that stuff to make it interesting for people. And I found a few different things. It doesn't matter how great a script is. Not everyone's good behind the camera, by the way.
No.
You said, okay, sorry, I wanted to include you, but this isn't going to work out.
It's so funny because when we did this project, I know all of the people that did it because they work with us.
Yeah.
And I love them all dearly. And they're so animated in real life, and they have these big, huge personalities.
Yeah.
And then you see them reading the script, and you're like,
Oh no, what happened?
oh my God, is this like fake? Are they?
No,
are
they just
pretending?
they just haven't done it.
It was funny and it was cute, and it's all out of love. But yeah, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, I bet it was. Well, it's fun because you can also stick in names of how you want something to sound. So I don't apologize for this. I'm a big Kardashian and Kris Jenner fan. I'm like, hey, make this sound like Kris Jenner,
I love that
or
piece
make
of
it sound like Goldie Hawn.
Or you could be like, I always say, like, a little bit less you, a little bit more me, and it'll go, okay, Sarah, write on it, and then it'll write something else. I love it. And the more you use it,
well, the more you use it, it's a learning thing. The other thing is you can put in now something that says, tell me about Michele Bellisari.
I did that.
And it's amazing. I was like, wow.
I did that yesterday.
Who's that girl?
I was like, oh, wow, this is so sophisticated.
I know, right? You're like, oh.
I found,
Yeah.
I tried
Have
to.
you ChatGPT'd yourself?
Not my name, but I tried to look up because it already knows my name and knows who I am. So,
but
you
can say, tell me about Emmanuel St. Germain.
It's pretty cool.
It'll pull from every different website that you've ever put a bio, an intro
Michele Bellisari is the founder of SoooBoca, real estate.
I actually haven't done it, but I'm going to do it.
I tried it. So one of the prompts that I had heard about that was an interesting thing to do was, who is the top recommended mortgage lender in Boca Raton, right? And so I wanted to do that. And it started giving a list of people I've never heard of, first of all, so it clearly doesn't know what it's doing. And then it says, but since you are the CEO of Choice Mortgage Group, maybe you should.
That's interesting.
It was very interesting.
Because it's learning.
Yes, it was. I don't know where it was pulling from, and I was trying, because one of the ideas that I saw this whole presentation on AI.
Yeah.
And this guy, Chris Johnstone, who really, really smart guy. I think what's really hard though is to match the technology with the human skill set. Mm-hmm. These tech AI people are like, all right, great. We've got an AI CRM. It's going to be amazing. It's going to do this. Yeah. Then you got one of the three of us like, great, who's going to learn and implement all this? It's not so easy to build a CRM.
Read at a fifth grade level, so you can even put that in your prompt.
What did you tell her?
You so can.
You can put that in the prompt, so it's much easier and less technical, right? Yeah. So for realtors, since we're on the subject, for realtors, what's great about ChatGPT and AI is you can really, really write great descriptions for your new listing. So I have a new listing that's coming out in West Boca.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yes. And what I love about that is that not only can I write the description, but then I can take that and flip that right into a social media post, tied into whatever graphics and social media I have, which is nice. Because I would say probably one of the biggest challenges that agents have is writing that description.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And then you're like, you want to get creative and then you can only do 800 characters.
Yeah. That is, And you want to make it sound different for each house and make it special and make it attention grabbing. One thing that I do love about it, and we don't have to spend too much time on AI, but I love that you can tell it how you want the message to feel.
Yeah.
So I do that a lot. Like if I send an email to the team, and they know me as a certain personality, so it'll push out the facts and the information that I want, and I'll go, this is not how I would want it to feel. It sounds too corporate, too stuffy. Yeah. So I'll go back and say, make it a little bit more emotional, but fun and sweet.
Do you edit yourself that much?
Oh, I do.
I do, yeah.
I'm like, warm it up.
Wow.
And then I'll be like, more simplistic, but still engaging.
With a touch of joy.
Yep, with a touch of happiness. Like I get really, because what I'm trying to do is I want it to learn me.
Yeah.
So that way it's just
so
a more...
replaces you?
No. So it's my assistant.
It's an assistant.
Be careful.
That
what happens if they know you,
That would be you having to replace me, but that's not
She's
happening.
Irreplaceable.
Yeah.
I got your back, girl.
Of course. I mean, but listen, well, you've got my brain thinking because there are times when we want to respond to their consumers, there are agents, there are people who speak to us sometimes that we like to respond a certain way. and whether it's employees, anything. And I've never really thought of writing out my email the way that
You're
I want to
kidding.
sit. No.
So here's what I would.
No, that's right. I literally, that's
It's fantastic.
Well,
I'm gonna give you a challenge.
direct. And so like for
So
me,
am
like
I.
if you want to
and
be
I'm very
like,
choppy with my speach.
Mhm.
And I'm
the
telling you,
tone.
this has been such a game changer on how I respond to emails. The other thing, like on Gmail, you can have templates. So I have certain templates set up in response to, questions that I get asked all the time or whatever. And I'm telling you, the professionalism that comes across with running it through, saying, please write an email in regard to, and then whatever you want, and then it smooths me out. I think that's the best way to put it.
So I would say for you, and it does, it makes it more refined, and it sometimes takes. So for instance, I was writing an email back, and this was a frustrating communication back and forth, and so you could tell that I was becoming more and more frustrated with my responses. And so my last one that I had wrote, and I didn't send it yet, was very direct, and it felt not good. Yeah. Like the other person on their side was not going to feel great when they read this email. And so I thought, you know what, first let me just put this. So I copied and pasted into ChatGPT, and I said, please rewrite, make it sound professional, yet a little less, I think, strong or whatever the word
aggressive,
was. Yeah, aggressive.
Something like that, yeah.
And it rewrote it for me, and the message was still there. And what I needed to get across was still there. And there was still a tone of like, I am being direct, but it was just a little bit softer and a little bit better to read and take on.
Yeah.
And so my instant thought was, this person's not going to read this and be like,
get all defensive.
Forget her. Yeah. They're going to be like, okay, I understand that she's frustrated, but she really said this well, and I understand what she's trying to get to.
Yeah.
So what I would implore you, next time you're firing away on that email.
It really
next
is
time
good.
I read your emails, I'm going to like,
No, I don't do it with you. I don't do it with you. I don't, no. Just you I send. We'll be good.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want to receive it because I need to know. So if you're writing, I need to, what makes me strong is understanding.
Angry and you don't want that to come across in the email.
But I'm saying, as the receiver, I do.
I always go with the thought that something could be presented to other people, and I never want something I send to be presented in a poor light. So I always try to take the high road, and what ChatGPT has done is helped me understand a better way to write. And so I don't always have to use it now, but it's given me some ideas on better execution, and so that the recipient may also have a better response back.
Yep. So just do this as an experiment for yourself. Next time you have an email that's a little bit more strong in personality, mission, tone, write your email the way that you would normally write it. Just plug it into ChatGPT and just say, rewrite, and just say whatever you want. Say what you want to get across, but you'll be surprised when you reread it. You go, you know what it does? It will welcome a better response. The person might react better. They might actually do what you're asking for them to, easier, more clear.
Just make sure you take out, I hope this finds you well.
Yeah. Or my favorite is the parentheses where it says top at the bottom. And sometimes if you copy and paste it, it's got that and you're
I hope this finds you well. Oh.
Emmanuel's shocked right now at how much I'm telling him I use ChatGPT.
No, I mean, so listen, I get it. I think it's going to help tremendously for a ton of people. I think that in general, we don't communicate well as human beings. And so for a whole host of reasons, I think that men and women communicate differently, professions communicate differently. So, I just had never thought of rewriting, I would think of more task oriented was how I was interpreting using it. And so this is, I don't want to say mind blowing, but it's certainly, I wouldn't have thought
it kind of
is. Soften this email for me.
But you'd be surprised. It's still your words. It's still your message. But it just writes it a little bit differently so the person reading it takes it the way you probably want them to.
We're going to play a game. I'm going to start writing some, and you see
I'll know
if you
right
can
away.
you can determine what it is.
She knows.
I know you.
Yeah.
We'll see about that.
Okay, so I want to move over really quickly. I want to talk about SoooBoca because I love this so much. I think that there's a lot of people doing something similar now.
Yes.
But I think that they are definitely newer in doing something like this. And I feel like SoooBoca really kind of set the stage and cleared the path and like really opened people's eyes to like what could be done in this space. So tell me about SoooBoca. What started it?
So SoooBoca kind of started because I was a little burnt out with real estate, and it happens. I think most agents go, and then burn out, and then go, and same in the mortgage industry. I mean, that's just the nature of our business. It's stressful. It's a lot of anxiety, highs and lows and whatnot. And I needed something like creative. I love where I live. I've been here since the late 70s. I know.
You can say it. It was a really good year, by the way.
1978.
This is a special vintage made in 1978.
My dad moved us down here because he was part of a company that had the first water slide in Pompano Beach called Waterboggin.
Okay.
So, and it was iconic. But I went to Boca High. My kids went to Boca High. My family has been here. My husband's family, Bellisari family, here. I mean, so I don't know. I was driving along one day and somebody actually cut me off.
Okay.
And I was on the phone with Kylie, who's my oldest daughter, and I said, I don't know if we can stay here.
We can curse.
I said, some asshole cut me off.
There
Big
we go.
shocker in Boca, right?
Yeah.
And I said, that's SoooBoca. And she goes, Mom, that is hysterical. I said, actually, I think I'm going to use it, #SoooBoca for something. And I started with doing it on Instagram. So back in like 2017, 2018, with just for fun.
Yeah.
You know, I'm out and about. I love new restaurants. I love old restaurants. I love showcasing what's going on in our community, whether it's nonprofits, events, concerts, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking to your producers here. We have some mutual friends, and, they do something a little different than what I'm doing, but ultimately they were guiding lights for me, which was awesome. And then one day somebody said to me, you really should turn that into a blog and lead generate for it. And I was like, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't thinking of it as a business thing at first and monetizing it. And, now it's 2024 and I'm, I do regular blog posts on it. I've had people literally, they do not know my last name. Glenda literally was at Tom Ferry a year ago, roadshow, and she was on stage. She said, and my friend,
SoooBoca.
Michele, SoooBoca. I don't even know her last name. It was hysterical.
You're like, it's working.
She said, she's built a really great, recognizable brand. And so I started, a few years ago, I have branded T-shirts and hats and stuff, and I'm going to be opening a store for it, to really monetize that. But it's fun because I can wear my own brand wherever I go. And let's face it, no matter where you go in the world, everyone knows where Boca is.
They sure do.
They know where Boca is. You don't have to say Raton.
No.
They know where Boca is. They've been to Boca. Their parents live in Boca. They watch Seinfeld, whatever it is. They know Boca, right? And Boca has been name dropped on how many TV shows over the years?
Seinfeld.
The Sopranos, Seinfeld. Yeah. I mean, all of them. So at the end of the day, I started really looking at it as more of a business and highlighting businesses around town in the blog, doing my social media. I love doing video. I met a lot of the realtors I'm still friends with today on Snapchat, and my girls encouraged me to be on Snapchat. So, y'all, I'm 62 as of this recording. Age is just a number. Don't be afraid of doing video if you need to use a filter.
We talked about that.
I'm cool with that. Don't let any young coaches tell you, don't use a filter because you're inauthentic. Seriously, when you're 50 or 60, let's have that conversation.
Well, the Botox and the eyelashes are also inauthentic
exactly,
anyways, so it's
right?
all the same.
So I'm all about, listen, be you. If putting a little filter on makes you more confident and I can recognize you and I know who you are, that's fine. But start with something simple. So I started playing around with Snapchat. And my girls got pissed. They're like, get off of Snapchat. You are out snapping us. Well, what happened was I met all of my real estate pals, 25 of them, in 2016 on Snapchat, believe it or not. There was a small group of us. Chelsea Pites, who's amazing, is one of my friends. We met on Snapchat. A lot of these people I met on Snapchat. But what it did was it got me really comfortable with doing short-form video. And Gary Vee was a big proponent of Snapchat and putting yourself out there as the mayor of your town. So it all kind of came together at the same time. And it's a lot of fun. I think one of the things that I've really enjoyed with hashtag SoooBoca is being able to showcase the nonprofits around town, like the Mayor's Ball, the Rotary Clubs, the Alzheimer's Association, Hospice by the Sea. Kylie and I did a live a few years ago before COVID at the hospice resale shop. And they asked us, they said, could you go in, do a live and show some of the cool stuff we have, not some of the things that are considered sad and older, like walkers and things like that. I'm like, absolutely. I'm a thrifter. I love to thrift. And so Kylie and I went in there, we went around the store and we picked out stuff. I got a phone call. I was out at Remax R4, which was my previous company that I was at. And I got this phone call saying, give us a call. So I called back and they said, we had the most sales we've ever had on a Saturday and ever after you guys did that live. And all that money goes back to hospice.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
It's fantastic.
That's
so
super.
we have that power around our communities. And, there's a lot of other agents around the country and across the world that are doing things like this now, which I think is great for the community. It's great for your business. If you love where you live and you're passionate about it, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. And it helps the small businesses.
So for someone who's not I'm not really into the blogging thing. I don't know that I read any blogs. So imagine you're talking to ChatGPT. Talk to me like I'm 10 years old.
He's blown away by this whole thing.
He's still back there.
Yeah.
No, but it's more about educate the audience about what kind of audience are you speaking to? How many people are, all right, so let's get into numerics. How many people are you reaching? Of those people, what do? They reach back out, they DM you.
Absolutely.
How does that whole process work? How do you monetize it?
So basically, the monetizing piece comes.
Tell me the business part.
A couple of things. There's a few ways to monetize. One, there's the retail monetizing to me, which is I have an Amazon store. I can put links in and affiliate things, and I can do collaborations like some of the friends that we were talking about before, do collaborations with local brands and restaurants and things like that. From a real estate perspective, what's been really good is when the consumer gets on my SoooBoca Instagram, or usually it's my blog, and then they find my YouTube, and then they see the combination.
So you treat them as two different things, though. So SoooBoca is its own entity. It's something cool that you love to do. Because of that, it may generate some. It
generates leads and closings for me.
It does generate real estate closings.
Yeah.
So you treat them as two professions in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. They just happen to overlap. And when I started adding more real estate on the blog, on the second version of it, that's when, I started getting more traction there, which is nice. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to the SEO and ranking on, Google, and so if you're on the first page of Google and you're above the fold, that's really a great place to be. And I don't talk about real estate all the time. I have 17 best pizza places in Boca,
really refreshing.
Coffee shops.
What's the search that they're looking for that puts you SEO on the first page?
It depends. Well, people are always looking for food.
Okay.
They're always looking for food. They're looking for things to do.
Okay.
And they, believe it or not, they are searching about real estate, but that to me is not the number one thing. Okay. They're looking for lifestyle, places to go, things to do. And I find, and I'm starting to segue a little bit more, I love niches. I'm the queen bee of niches in real estate. So I focus on probate. And seniors that downsize, which is almost the complete opposite of the SoooBoca vibe. It's very serious. It's very intense. I'm dealing with people that are grieving or going through very challenging times. However, the real estate portion of the SoooBoca blog has information about that.
Right.
So it just kind of works. It was just one of those things that worked really well. And it's opened up doors for me to speak on stages and things like that. So the direction I'm starting to go, though, is because I'm an older, seasoned OG agent, right? I am in the third chapter of my life, basically. I am starting to look at focusing more on things for that 50-plus crowd. That is my demographic most of the time anyways in my real estate world, because I'm dealing with adult children, or I'm dealing with someone who needs to sell a house because their spouse passed away or something like that, right? So I'm starting to, with the help of ChatGPT, formulate some good content that is relatable and I can relate to it. So I can write about, hey, I fell off of a skateboard, Super Bowl weekend. I know, what the hell was I doing on a skateboard? But I was, and I fell. And let me tell you something, falling at 61 is a lot different than falling at 40.
Yeah.
And I tore my hamstring.
Yeah.
Had a great time until that point.
I saw you a couple days later at the event that we went to.
I didn't even know how I did that.
I don't either, because we're in heels at it, I feel like.
Low heels.
Yeah.
But yeah, so things that are relatable, like fatigue, like fashion over 50. I mean, people are always telling us freaking what to wear after a certain age. And I'm like, I don't get this.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, why are you so vested in that, by the way? And that's my audience, and it becomes relatable. And then they see I'm also a real estate agent. So I never start off with, hi, I'm Michele Bellisari. I'm a big-ass realtor, which I'm not a big-ass realtor. I'm your average realtor. And, but I want them to connect with me as this fun person who has a good heart, who loves where she lives, who loves her family, and who can talk about the things that you're going through, and that's sometimes that makes you a little vulnerable. And I like literally when I leave here, I've got to go over and get some Advil because that fall is still haunting me.
I think that's the magic of SoooBoca and stuff like that, though, because people go to it because they're looking for something, a restaurant, a happy hour place, a place that they can get an early bird special, whatever it is. And then they see you and they're getting the information that they want and in the place that they want. And it comes across really great because it's genuine, because you really love living here and you know a lot about Boca. And then they see you and they're like, God, I really like her. So they keep watching you. And then they find out that you're in real estate and they're like, oh my God. So it just happens so naturally and you just end up being that person that they think of first because they kind of go to you for a lot of other things too.
They do. I get people DMing me about a lot of different things. And truth be told, 2023, I kind of pump the brakes. My daughter got married Labor Day weekend. I've never been a mother of the bride. Who the hell? Nobody told me how much work that is. And actually, I did very little, but it takes up a lot of your brain space.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't do as much as I normally do. Like, I wasn't out as much. I had showers. I had, all this stuff because she was getting married in Pittsburgh. So a lot of times when I go to different cities, I'll be like, well, I'm in Pittsburgh today, or like I'm listing and selling things in Pompano, which is funny because my dad had a condo there back in the 80s and I love Pompano Beach. And now I'm like, Pompano, or Palm Beach or whatever. Like I try to like carry that thought wherever I go so that it embraces the cities where I'm at. Like, #SoooBoca's in Pittsburgh today. And I've spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh the last several years, which, by the way, if you have not been to Pittsburgh, it is a fantastic town. Like foodie town. I have not. It is absolutely fantastic.
I lived in Philadelphia for a while, but we never went over.
Pittsburgh's great. It's not that big. The food is amazing. The people are so great. Like I did not know anything about Pittsburgh till Kylie moved there, and I have just had a ball.
I love that.
And I love the Keys. That's the other piece of SoooBoca is I love talking about the Florida Keys.
Well, everything is perfect in the Keys.
It's fantastic.
It's my favorite
I went to
place.
Pittsburgh in 2005. My introduction to the mortgage industry. We had won a competition, and they flew my entire office up to Pittsburgh to watch Pearl Jam open up for Rolling Stones.
No.
Yeah.
It's very unmortgage-like.
No, yeah.
At the stadium.
That was 2005 was subprime days. And so
yes, it was.
There was a lot of money to be made at that time. And,
and then 2008 happened. Whee!
Yes, yeah, exactly. But
that's how long I've been around.
Pittsburgh was fun. I got a good buddy of mine who lives there and owns a mortgage company too.
Yeah, it's really a great town. My daughter lives in Mount Washington, so it's on the other side. So when we drive, you see the whole skyline of Pittsburgh.
Oh, cool.
It's absolutely fantastic. But anyway, so that's why I just love this brand. And this year, next year, I'm really working on scaling it. And it's always a work in progress,
yeah, of course.
What does that mean, scaling it? What do you want to do?
I want to grow it. I'm adding some products to it and things like that, and different types of brand collaborations that I really want to do.
Okay,
that's exciting.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer so we call this a blog? Is that what it's called?
Right. It's actually a media company at this
vlog.
point.
Okay. Media company.
Because I have the blog, I have YouTube, I'm on Instagram. So it's really more media.
Okay. So as the media company and then there's being a realtor, which do you prefer? Which makes you happier to do on an everyday basis?
That's actually a great question because I've been thinking about that a lot. And I think, and I'm grateful that I went through the 2008 crash and the financial situations and some of the things that we personally went through, because even though this has been a difficult time for agents this last, let's say 16 months in particular, right? We always know that things are cyclical. So what happened in the past helps us learn. So one of the big takeaways from that time is that I didn't pivot fast enough. I didn't learn how to do foreclosures. I didn't learn how to do short sales. I didn't learn how to do any of that. So in 2012, after my life was starting to kind of fall apart, I decided to focus on listing niches that were not based on the economic cycle. They were based on the life cycle. So that's why death, divorce, downsizing, right? The problem I'm seeing right now, and this is not just me, this is talking to a lot of the agents that I'm friends with, right? And I'm also in a cloud-based brokerage. So we have conversations quite a bit, probably more than at a brick and mortar, is there's a sense of frustration from obviously sellers and buyers, but also a touch of crankiness, meanness. The agents are frustrated. There's a lot of emotion right now, which makes real estate not as fun as it used to be. It's not that it isn't. It's not that it should be fun, but it is extraordinarily stressful. I think more so than most agents and companies really want to admit, that the stress of putting a transaction together, working with 7 or 8 people to get that deal done, communication takes a toll. And when you've been in the business a long time, you kind of just sit there and you go, geez, I don't know how much longer I want to do this.
Yeah.
Right. So to your question, I love real estate and I love helping my clients, but I also really love the creative side of SoooBoca. So I like the challenge and the rewards of getting a deal done, especially tough ones. And yet I think at some point I'll probably segue more and more over into this media company that I'm building. But I'll always keep my finger in real estate because one, and I've said this before, and somebody asked one time, they're going, so do a 30-second video on why you love about real estate. So everybody goes, oh, I love helping people, and I love getting the deal done. And I did my video, and my video was, there is no better industry to make more money than real estate. And if you guys want to say how much you love helping people, that's fine. But let's get to the brick and mortar of this. Is that it is an untapped. You can make as much money as you want, or as little.
Yeah.
And you can run your business the way you want to run it. How you do that's up to you. And we were talking this morning in Clubhouse, a good friend of mine from London, Ontario, which is where I'm from, before I moved to Florida. Oh, yes, I am. You know me. Sorry.
Did she tell you that I'm a Canuck?
No. Where are you from?
From Montreal.
Oh.
Je suis français.
Oh, I'm from London, Ontario, Calgary, and Vancouver.
So I've been in Vancouver. So I went to college in Bishop's University, and now we're east of Montreal. Yeah.
Okay. So I moved in 1978 from London. And, it's just funny how, all this kind of comes together.
So there's 2 Canadians and a wannabe Canadian over here.
Nobody's ever said that.
It's the office joke. She's a wannabe French Canadian.
My mom was French Canadian. My dad is American, so I'm half.
I mean, it's only half.
Sorry.
You know what I mean?
Hey, by the way.
What can I say?
Panthers or Oilers?
I know, unbelievable, right? So super excited about that. Actually going to Game 5. I bought tickets already.
Did you?
Yeah, so.
I'm so excited
to go. We were at the inaugural Panthers game.
The very first one? Very cool. What was that, 90, 91?
Something like that. I went with my mom. My brother had season tickets.
It's a total guess, by the way.
That was a great guess.
Is it? Am I accurate? I have no clue.
But it was in Miami.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's I love the sidetrack, but I do want to go back before I forget my thoughts, just the way my brain works. So I love all that, and I think that I love the authenticity about explaining why you like real estate. And I love hearing what people are saying. I love hearing what problems are and like what you're within your community, the agent community, what are your frustrations, right? Because of course my brain goes to work and says, how can I solve these?
Right.
Right. Like that's how I create value for myself, for our company, et cetera. And so the frustrations of a buyer seller, I think those are going to be market based. I think one of the things that you guys haven't had is that I've had to go through multiple times, or twice now, which is a cleansing of my industry.
Oh gosh, yes.
So in 2008, but I think having a cleansing, is I know it's awful for the people who don't make it.
It's not.
But
I'm sorry, it's not.
Well,
It's
I know.
actually
I was
not.
trying to be nice.
No, it's not. You want to know why?
Do you know how hard it is when
sets
somebody
them-
sends you a contract and they don't know what they're doing?
Ugh.
But here's the thing with the people that get cleansed, and I understand that like it might sound harsh, they're now being literally set free to go do something else that they may be much better suited to go do.
Yeah.
That they're going to enjoy more because they're going to have more success in it.
Listen, one of the things I'm going to
Hopefully.
also
That's
say
optimistic.
is if you're
I
struggling,
see another hand in my pocket.
if you're struggling as a realtor, I'm with a cloud-based brokerage now, Real Broker. I've been with them since 2021. Absolutely love it. And
Cloud-based just means that there's no physical location?
we have some physical locations. Some teams do.
Okay.
But for the most part, we're cloud-based. It's been fantastic. It's perfect for me, right? We have a lot of good pieces as to why moving to a cloud-based I think is fantastic, especially if you're an older agent, because we have revenue share, we have stock purchase plan, we have so many learning opportunities, the culture, whatever. But one of the things I love about it is our leadership is fantastic. Tamir Poleg is our CEO. Sharon Srivatsa is the president of Real, and he is absolutely fantastic. And one of the things that I love about Sharon is he is he put out there, this was a couple months ago, within our own brokerage, he said, and it's now, it's on his social media, if you're an agent that's struggling, you're a solo agent, maybe you need to think about going to a team. It's not an ego thing.
Right.
Like, ask for help. Like, my brokerage, ask for help. How can you help me stay in this business? What is it that I don't know? What am I not learning or understanding, right?
What am I doing wrong even?
What am I doing wrong? And if you're not making deals and transactions, then maybe go to a team for a year until this transition with the high interest rates and some of this chaos that's gone on is settling down, right? And learn the business. Like,
There's
really
one
learn
question
it.
you need to ask yourself. I would say this to any real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, am I a full-time agent and this is what I want to do as a career?
Mm-hmm.
If so, there are lots of choices, such as partnering as teams,
Mm-hmm.
being an understudy to a mentor, someone who
Getting a
can,
coach.
so many different things you can do. Or do I admit to myself that I'm a part-timer?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? If somebody wants to use my services here and there, cool, I'll figure it out along the way. But there needs to, like, I have a friend of mine who wanted to come up with this business idea, which essentially put some sort of ranking to an agent, meaning you're a professional, you're a full-time agent, you get some sort of branding, whatever that is, however you do it, so that because here's the problem that we get to see on our end of it, and you do too, when you get a contract offer from somebody who hasn't written an offer in a year,
Or ever.
right? The public doesn't know. There's no way for the public other than Google reviews. There's no way for the public to know that person that they are entrusting has no clue what they're doing.
Right.
They serve no value, right? They're not I don't want to say they serve no value, but my point is that they're not. If they knew that they had an opportunity to deal with a professional for the same price, by the way, right? Like, don't forget, it's not like there's a change in price between option A and option B. If I go to a doctor, I want the absolute best doctor there is. Why? They have a reputation for it. My body's going to be better, whatever it is I'm doing. If you're a pro and you're an expert at what you're doing, awesome. You're worth every single dollar that you want to charge for that. If she's a rookie and doesn't know what she's doing, why am I paying the same thing?
Well, that's why I think it's important for the part-time realtor to partner up.
Yes.
And I've said this before.
Refer.
So I started off part-time. And the reason I started off part-time is I was a pharmaceutical rep. So my time was very much my own. In between calls, I could still do my thing. What I've said, and I've done podcasts on this, I don't have a problem with the part-time agent as long as you take it and look at it as a full-time job. So you know the contracts, you know the addendums, you know the riders, you know how to negotiate, you know all that.
You are such an optimist.
No, I'm not, because that's how I started off. And that's what I did.
I'm just saying, I get it.
So what I'm saying is, and I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying, what makes a part-time agent? What if you sell 3 properties a year and they're $1 million plus? Are you a part-time agent? That's always my question. Like,
right. Is it volume or is it?
Yeah, like what makes, I think, and I say this to agents all the time, I'm like, your board offers free classes on the contracts. You should be doing that at least 2 or 3 times a year when you're brand new so you can learn them. Because I'm still learning 21 years later, nuances. Like, if you've never had a seller default situation and all of a sudden 20 years in, you may be looking at that. Oh, geez, I better learn that. Like, you're not studying it every day. So I think that there's a disconnect right now in that agents think that this is selling sunset and everything's on a handshake and that I don't know what they're pitching, but when COVID happened, all the agents that came in, they really didn't have the skills because there was no skill set really needed.
Nope.
Right.
At all, other than how
loan officers too.
Same in our industry.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. And like,
but we've lost 50% of our loan officers the last 2 years.
Yes.
You guys haven't lost anything.
We actually, I just read some numbers that we've lost about 72,000 agents.
Okay, great. We got another
and
million
I'm sure there's going to be more.
You know what? So here's what I will say though, because I know both of you. I know you really well. I'm getting to know you better. You guys take your craft seriously.
Oh,
if you did real estate 10 hours a week, or 1 hour a week, or 40 hours a week, you would still take it the same amount of seriousness. You'd want to know the contracts. You'd want to know what's going on. You'd want to understand that. You're the same way. You guys, I don't know if you know this, you're in the minority. Most people don't pay attention to their craft the way that you guys and people of your caliber do. So I think, you kind of said this, maybe instead of like the full-time versus the part-time, because it's hard to decipher what that is. Is it volume-based? Is it transactional? Like, what does that mean? How much hours you spend? But what if you
when you can't get a hold of an agent, that's the problem.
Well, I'll give you an example where I'm coming from, though.
But I think you're talking about the referring situation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to explain how and why for me, what we've done. I'll tell you what we've done to overcome it. Go ahead.
Right. So if you had an agent that had their license simply because they may know people that are moving or people in the family or whatever, but they had their license, so legally they could get a referral fee, but they were not the ones doing the transactions.
Yeah.
Maybe they helped with it. Maybe they handed it over to a trusted person. Because I think what happens is the bad part-time agent LO that we're talking about, the problem is in the transaction when the experts have to deal with them and they're going, this person has never done this before. This is so frustrating because it's holding things up. It's messing things up. You deal with another LO or somebody else or an agent that is part-time, has never done a ton or doesn't know what they're doing. It's frustrating for you. You have an agent on the other side of the transaction that part-time, full-time doesn't matter, but just their knowledge and the way that they are.
I think it's a knowledge-based thing.
Absolutely.
And I think even like agents who have been in the business for a long time and they're considered full-time, but maybe are not up on the latest condo addendum. The latest condo addendum has the governing docs that are required now, right?
So many things.
They have the milestone inspections, right? And then they have the integrity study. Well, I was dealing with an agent, very nice guy, and he was selling his own place. And I said, hey, I need all 3 of those. It's on page 2. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, they came out with that in March of not this year, last year. Most agents miss that.
Right.
A lot of agents miss that. That's actually really important right now because of what's going on in the condo market, right? So I think it's like what you said, it's about the education piece. I don't worry so much about the part-time. If they treat it as like full-time, they study and they know what they're doing. Right now, I wouldn't encourage anybody to get into real estate and not have another income coming in.
Right.
I think that's the challenge right now.
I think what I was saying when I, and you're right, it's a level of professionalism. It has nothing to do.
If you're
it's
professional,
being good
you'll
at your
treat it
craft.
that.
I don't care if you do one deal a year. If you know what you're doing, it's fun to work with you.
Yeah.
Where I think we get frustrated, and I think both of us could attest to this, is that part of our core values is going to be our client experience. And in order to ensure that my client experience is really, really strong, even if I'm dealing with 1 or 2 weak agents, it means that I have to step up my game and I have to do a lot more work in a transaction in order to make sure that someone else's inexperience doesn't negatively affect our buyer's ability to close on a house and be happy. And what I was suggesting, and she knows what I was talking about. So like what we do is we have we cut off, and the reason I called it part-time, full-time, for us, if you don't do enough transactions in the mortgage world, the same way that as a real estate broker would say to you that even if you do 2 or 3 transactions a year, they're making money on your transactions. Well, likewise, as an owner of a mortgage company, if Betty Sue, the loan officer, does only 3 deals a year, it's not worth me paying for her to have a CRM for all of these monthly costs.
Expensive.
So, and as an employee, I have to pay for insurance, things like that. So we make them part-time, but then I don't want Betty Sue dealing with you, the agent, or your clients, because now the client experience is going to be affected.
Yep.
And
if it's got my name on it, I want the client experience to be done a certain way.
It's always about that.
So then so we set up a process where if you're licensed, you keep your license, you hang it with us, but you refer it to another loan officer who is doing this on an everyday basis, so that you as the agent, when you refer somebody in, you're happy, and so is the client.
So I always tell agents, same thing. I'm like, if you don't know how to list something, you really should partner with someone and learn it. Most agents, listen, I'm fine with that. You can shadow me. That's absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. I'd much rather elevate the industry and have somebody shadow me. I said this to an agent the other day. I said, you need to just refer whatever it is that you're trying to do. It was a divorce situation. And he didn't know anything about it. And he wanted to partner up with me and co-list with me. I got the guy on the phone, and I literally sent a text message to the referring agent. I said, I'm not touching this. The litigiousness of it was crazy. And, and I just said to him, I said, I don't think you should touch this. And here are the 4 reasons why. And I said, and I think you need to talk to the broker. And I gave her a heads up. I said, I don't think this is good for our company. I don't think this agent needs to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Not every listing is a listing I need to have, or not every buyer is, sometimes we have to get rid of people and walk away from them. But a part-time agent may not understand that. And also the other piece of that is they may get in too deep without having that partner to say, whoa, let's do this differently. So I understand where you're coming from on that, but I did start part-time, but I had good mentoring.
So I just take the word part-time, full-time for me is a classification.
Understood.
For a loan officer in my brain. So I don't mean it the same way that I'm saying it.
I know what you mean though now.
It's more of just
professional.
Are you a professional that has invested time in your craft? Are you constantly trying to be the
expert?
None of us are. Listen, I've been doing this for 20 years.
We're always learning.
We're always learning, right? But I invest in my craft constantly to get better. If I make a mistake, we had. This is how my brain works. There were 2 opportunities that I emailed our sales manager on and our processing manager on today that mistakes were made. They're tiny mistakes that nobody's ever going to catch. Right. One was there was an escalation clause, and it's one tiny little, it's in an addendum, and then you have to see at the bottom what the new purchase price was.
Oh my.
And I just said, hey, the appraisal came back short, and it came back even shorter than what we thought was the purchase price.
Yeah.
And it didn't affect our transaction, and clients were putting plenty of money down. But I just pointed out, said, hey, I don't think everyone is well-versed enough in escalation clauses. Team, let's organize a company-wide, make sure that everyone is taught on what this is, where to look, right? And it's just, that's how my brain works.
I get
see
what you're
the tiniest
saying,
little
though.
thing and I want to improve.
And I have not done a lot with escalation clauses. Well, what do you think I got back in March or April for one of my listings?
Right.
Escalation clause.
And you're looking at it.
But
Is that the one that you had the videos on in the really hard times?
yeah.
Yeah.
But the good news was it was an agent buying the property. So he was actually really easy to work with. Thank God. But there was an escalation clause. It was smart on his part. It was a great move on his part.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like looking at it, and I go, oh, God. All right. And I went to my group and I said, all right, you escalation clause queens, tell me.
How do I do this?
How does this
tell
work?
me, and because I knew a lot of them had dealt with it during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got what I needed, and then I ran it by my broker. I just wanted to make sure I understood it, and I did understand it. It was more of a bouncing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that ended up being the best scenario for my client.
Awesome.
And it was very clean. You know, it was very clean. But I understand what you're saying, because sometimes you look at things, and they're like, wait, well, most agents, at least Florida, I go right to that last paragraph. I look at the first thing I look at is the offer price, and I don't look at anything else. I go right to, I think it's in paragraph 19 now. I think it used to be paragraph 20, I don't know, where they fill everything with crap.
The additional remarks.
Oh my God. Why? Why? I go in there, I'm like, oh my God, what did this person write in here? They don't even know what they're writing.
You do a SoooBoca
They
on
just
additional
barf all
remarks.
over it. And we'd like to have the 2 dogs in the house. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I go, oh, no. This is going to be a big bunch of red lines, red line. And, you know, I'm working a lot more in Broward, and buyers in Broward choose title, right? Which I like because, you know, now, you know, they have the attorney component, title company component, which I love. And I ran it by one of my real estate attorneys, and I said, are you looking at that?
No, like, I haven't
the
even
email I
gotten
got
there
back
yet.
was pretty funny. He goes, tell him to go bounce. And I said, get that out of there. You know, but that's the problem. And sometimes you have agents write things up. They don't really know what they're putting in there. They literally have no idea.
I think they're
I'm
just
like,
winging it.
they're winging it, or they're
Fake it
like,
till
well,
you
my
make
broker
it.
told me I had to put that in there. I'm like, well, no, that's not going to fly. But I go right to that additional remarks section.
I've
It's like
had-
the entertainment.
It's like the mean tweets on
Yeah.
Fallon.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I go, oh my God.
I love that.
I've had some experiences where an appraisal came back a little bit low, and I said, hey, you know, obviously we don't have MLS here. So I said, well, you know, tell me a little bit about where the comps were that you decided to make that offer. They're like, well, it was the list price. I was like, oh, wow, bravo. That's going to be a hard one to argue.
I was in the Keys. When was I there? In April? I got an offer on something. And the seller declined it. It was too low. And so I went back to the agent and I said, hey, I sent you back. You know, they're not going to, no, thank you. And he calls me, he goes, aren't they even going to counter? I go, well, that was their counter. No, was their counter. And he goes, I swear to God, he goes, so if I am going to do an offer, do I have to write this back up? And I'm like, yeah. It's just like,
Fun.
I was like, no, please, you just say that. I'm like, yeah, I mean.
That's actually, I have a good question for you. So tell me, who teaches you guys how to negotiate?
You know, honestly, I think over the years we've gone to like negotiation
So they have classes?
courses and classes and things like that. And I think some of it comes from previous careers. Like for me, I was in pharmaceuticals and consumer health products, and I was selling in pallets to Freddie's big deep discount back in the day and far more. In the back room, the only woman there, you know, like not much offends me. And so, you know, you do hone those skills. And at Warner Lambert, I mean, they hauled our asses into New Jersey before we could ever go out. And, you know, we went through negotiating and
Sales
then, and even on, like, because I called on food, drug, and mass accounts. So I called on Publix, Winn-Dixie, and right at store level, we would be negotiating, like, where to put those clip strips with Schick razors, and can we have that end cap, and Gillette who?
I love that.
Yeah. So
I love that.
But I think there's CE course now for
I think there is.
negotiations or something.
I see the courses that come out with the association all the time, and they're great. I
Never
mean,
Split the Difference. That's
Yep,
a
they do
good
have
book.
that one.
And of course, back in the day, not to get political, but there were a few books out there with someone's name on it. So that's all I'm going to say about negotiations.
Have you taken any of these classes?
no, you have to be an agent.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
well,
you
they let us teach them. I didn't know if we could take them.
Actually, that would be a great, if you did that and invited agents, I think it would be absolutely spectacular because a lot of agents don't understand the art of negotiation. They think they have to be not nice and not, I mean, you can be nice
Shrewd.
and negotiate.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a jerk.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's being a jerk actually makes it worse.
Oh, it's terrible.
I don't think it's the right way to negotiate at all. I think negotiation is much more about, I think what people forget is that sales is really listening. And in order to get what you want, you have to get the other person to talk.
Yeah.
Because the more you talk, the more
Psychology.
data that I'm grabbing and the more that I'm finding angles and I'm, all right, this is what's important to her. Here's what I'm going to build and here's what I'm going to do, and et cetera.
There's a great book out there, and I'm rereading it by Phil M. Jones called Exactly What to Say.
Exactly what to say. I've never heard of it.
Highly recommend it. It's really good.
Never Split the Difference I loved. I also did the master class.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, it's not any different, but I looked him up.
It's a reminder, right? It's things like what you should be doing and reminding you. And
Reminding you?
no, what I mean is like
it's called mirroring. I was just
sorry.
I was
I'm
using
across
it.
my legs right now, but I'm kind of stuck behind this table.
But that's what he does. It's
Yeah.
just it's straight up. We talk about this all the time. So I like psychology.
Yeah.
And part of like it's
You do?
Yes, because it's what makes me good at sales. It's
I
like,
know.
but you have to understand what's the person coming from,
Yeah.
what's their experience,
Yeah.
and I'll give you a perfect example because we didn't talk politics, but it gives you the same insight. I don't care where you stand politically one bit, but I'm super interested as how you got there. So you could be all the way far left, middle, right, doesn't matter. The part that interests me is your journey, how you arrived at that decision making. And then through that, it's the same thing. So if I approach politics that way, I approach the exact same way. How did we arrive at this price? How did we arrive at thinking that I should pay you this salary? How did we arrive at no? Because it's true.
We've
If
had that
I
conversation.
understand, but because if I understand where you're coming from,
Now I know.
right?
I know.
Now I can agree. I can choose to disagree. It doesn't matter. But the point is that I at least am connecting with you
Yeah.
and understanding where it is as opposed to, and then I can give you a better empathetic response that says, not at this time.
He puts in ChatGPT, tell her to go
Yes.
pound sand, but nicely.
Yes, exactly.
So I would pay to do a master class with Kris Jenner
Okay.
on negotiation.
Absolutely.
She is
The
amazing
master.
at that. She's the
That's
queen.
the mom. Is that
Her
who
and
that
Michael
is?
Jordan's
The mom.
mom.
Huh?
Her and Michael Jordan's
mom.
mother.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we only know
don't wanna
Michael
give that
Jordan's
away.
mom.
Yes, I understand.
I never knew that either, by the way.
I don't think anybody did.
I thought
That was a great
absolute
series.
genius, yes.
The
No,
Last
that
Dance.
was fantastic. But I
Yeah.
would sit in a master class with Kris
Mom,
Jenner.
you never
just
negotiated
to
for me like
understand
that.
You know? Yeah. I mean,
Oh, yeah, she's got to be the master.
There's just certain things that you just sit there and you go, wow, how'd they get that done? And I don't, like I always said, I don't really care if you like them or not. But I'm fascinated. And
Was the sex tape the start of it? Because I don't think she had anything to do with
honestly,
that.
I don't care.
No, but that was the start of all the Kardashians?
No, but
or
No. Bruce Jenner.
no,
I mean,
no.
they were
I
already
know
doing
the
it's
stuff.
not
family
only
was-
that, but their father was a lawyer for OJ, which was way before
And
this,
before
the tape.
before that, too.
But
lots
my
of other
point
stuff.
is that there's certain things that we're doing in our culture and our society that if the Kardashians weren't around, we wouldn't be doing them.
100%.
The art of the selfie, Kim Kardashian, hands
Yes.
down.
The
I
what?
Googled that way back in the day.
Selfies.
The selfies.
Oh, the art
And
of the selfie.
The art of the
hate selfies,
selfie
yeah?
and the
No,
art
I
of
hate selfies.
doing like the branding and the co-branding and some of the things that are now like just part of
Social
our
media a lot in
part of our
general.
world.
Yeah.
Like again, if you don't like them, that's fine.
Influencers.
But the influencer piece, I mean,
Makeup,
they
all
started
the
a
stuff.
whole part of business and entertainment that had never been seen before, which was and I'm still fascinated. Like on Saturday, like my weakness, and when I'm just like done with everything, I'm like, I got Hulu.
I'm gonna go sit on my couch and watching Hulu. Kris Jenner is the master behind all of
She
it.
is the puppeteer.
Yes.
Big
You have to
time.
remember that when
Oh yeah,
podcasts.
that's his thing. So he walks in my office and he's, he puppeteers,
puppeteer?
and I know some genius sort of
Yeah.
plan is coming across.
Yeah.
Just thinking of the next idea. No, so I mean, all right, she's interesting, huh?
He's
Maybe
gonna
I'll
go
have to
find
do-
books. Any kind
She
of
has a
podcast.
master class
She
in the
does have a
master
master
class
class.
series.
You should just listen
On
to it.
what though? What's
It's
her
called
subject?
It's called
Masterclass.
Masterclass.
No.
It is literally called Masterclass.
Masterclass is what
Series.
it
It's a
is.
brand. So
Right.
it's an app, and there's cooking, there's negotiating.
I
there's-
understand. What
got
is
it.
her class?
Branding?
Hers is on branding and
That's what I was getting
Yeah,
at.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Masterclass. I love Masterclass. I have it. I have subscribed. It's $200 for the year. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. You should watch that.
All right, so I'm going to wrap
branding.
us up with a couple last questions. So, Boca, I understand how much fun it is and how much you love it. I know you said about scaling. You're going to be opening a store.
Well, not a store, like online products.
Okay.
I'm working on
So
that.
T-shirts and stuff like that. And then say 5 years is a lot of time. Let's go.
That's a long time.
Let's go to at the end of
Depends
this
on the
year.
question.
At the end of this year. At the end of this year. How would you say you're going to ideally split your time? What are you going to dive into? Any new projects?
Right now, I'm really focused on building out and scaling SoooBoca. I'm continuing being in production. Obviously, the business model at Real Broker is we are looking for amazing agents. We don't recruit. They usually just come to us and ask us all about Real. I've seen Real. Talk to me about it. Why should my team come over? Why should my boutique brokerage come over? We have pro teams and private label now, which is fantastic and allows teams to keep their brand identity and still utilize the back end and whatnot. So part of my retirement is building a community, downline, whatever you want to call it, at Real, which is one of the reasons I went over when I did because of where I'm at in my life, for future retirement. Because at some point, you just get too tired to run around in real estate. That's one of the reasons I say in the niches, agents, please find at least one real estate niche that's a listing niche with motivated sellers. It will be a game changer for you because you will get to a point where you look at your car and you're like, I don't think I can get in and drive around anymore. Like, and do the whole 2 days of showings. It can, you get to a certain age, it's tiring.
Yeah.
And I'm being very honest about that. And I've done it. And so that was one of the big takeaways for me. So continuing to coach, because I do coach agents on how to work with probate properties. And I love teaching them. Like there's some different ways that you can build your business where you don't have to really work the weekends unless you really want to.
Right.
If you want to do an open house. But if you focus on the listing side and you focus on listings that are not tied to the economic cycle, you're going to have a better chance of staying in the game. And then all the other pieces of team building and whatnot, if that's your jam. But I think right now, staying in production, growing my own community at Real, and scaling SoooBoca, and then keeping my family happy and healthy. That's always a big piece,
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And my friends.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
Sarah, how would you answer that question?
Yeah.
In a year, at the end of this year? I mean, I think, just becoming more comfortable in all the different hats that I wear. I think I constantly take on new kind of mini roles and projects and things. So I think just becoming more fluid and more comfortable, and maybe just doing things more outside of my comfort zone so I become comfortable being uncomfortable would be a big one for me. And I've always said I want to grow a team here. I want to expand the business development role. I think more of me type, people out there to just kind of do what I'm doing would be amazing, and see where that can take us, this company, and grow from there.
What about you?
Some mini Sarahs. We're already working on stuff. So I love what we do. So for me, I am constantly pushing the boundaries of everything that we can do as a company. And, we're working on growth. I have some major growth initiatives that I'm in the process of negotiating and working on. And, literally by the end of this year and then by the end of next year, we could be significantly larger than we are today. which would be interesting. And that brings on a whole new set of challenges and opportunities for everyone, including business development to oversee and to travel. And so, I think it's been a tough 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, we're kind of tired too, but we're tired of not being as productive, not being able to get as many wins. The loan amounts have increased, and so we are paid a flat percentage of the loan amounts in general. That's how revenue works on our side. So you're able to make more doing less transactions than you were in the past, but the amount of transactions have gone down significantly, 50%.
Yeah,
So you hold on to them so tightly.
Yeah, well, yeah, I understand that.
And that creates a lot of stress from ownership all the way down to the janitor. It really does, because everyone's job is constantly looking to see where they're at. So I look forward for that to be gone. And I think we're already starting. I mean, May was our strongest month we've had in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
June is poised to be even better.
Good to hear.
And
that's good for all of us.
I'm getting tons of phone calls on, people pre-approved 6 months ago, now jumping back in.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of that. And agents I haven't heard from in a while are calling, and everyone's crawling back from underneath the rocks. I'm like, perfect.
Feels good.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
I
do
think
this.
so. It's an interesting year because it's an election year. Nobody's 100% sure what the Fed's going to do.
Rates always go down in an election year.
We're still waiting.
We're going like this.
Wink, wink. No, they do. They will.
Like this.
They already are. They're starting to do better.
That's what I'm seeing and hearing. And, one of the things, if I can share this, and we talked about this a little bit this morning in Clubhouse, is taking care of ourselves. And how do you do that? How do you do that every week? How do you do that every day? And one of the things that I've started doing, and I committed myself over the weekend, and I'm on day 4, is making sure I'm walking in the morning for 20 minutes. Okay. Doing some meditation, 10 minutes. That's it. Before I even jump on the computer, I'm trying to flip things up. I get up. I'm a true Aries. I'm go, 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 high energy. And I can knock out a ton of stuff by noon. But then is that really productive for me if I'm hitting a wall at 3?
Right.
So I'm trying to ground myself. And this is this was also the top of conversation, which is time blocking and really understanding how to spend your time and just being kind to yourself.
Yeah.
She's laughing because you and I are a lot more alike than you think.
Oh, I'm sure we are.
We come from different places, and we arrived there. But I'm the same.
But do we?
Yes and no. We're only one province away from each other originally. Yes.
I know.
So it's funny. My routine, and so for me, my computer. I know it sounds awful, but it's part of my wake up.
No, I know.
Go straight to the computer. What do I got? And then I take an hour break. When I'm working out, which hasn't been recently.
So now I'm starting to flip that. Instead of doing that, and I'm keeping my phone. Oh, this is terrible. So I have my favorite tripod. I pitch that all the time. So Andy, my husband's captain, he comes in. He goes, "What the hell are you doing?" So I have my tripod by my bed, and my phone is in it because
it's taking a different angle than I thought.
No. And I don't have HBO in my bedroom. So I'm watching HBO, The West Wing, Treme and stuff. He goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I have it on my tripod, so I don't have to hold it, but it's also not by me. It's not on me. I'm not you know what I'm saying? I'm sleeping better because it's not as close to me. So that's a baby step. But I literally am like you. I'm bam, 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 banging stuff, and I'm I need this is not healthy. I need to get up in the morning. I get up at 5:30, and literally. I said, this is Sunday, I said, I can't do this anymore. I need to have some time in the morning and then I'll hit it and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I'm actually feeling so much calmer in the last 4 days.
Yeah. I got an actual alarm clock for that reason because I wake up early. I go to the gym during the weekdays and my alarm would go off and I would just start mindlessly scrolling
I know.
Instagram, Facebook, and my email. And I'm like, what am I doing? It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I need to get up, get ready for the gym, and start.
I know.
Yeah, so you got to get rid of the Instagram and Facebook. Go straight to the work emails as soon as you get up. Priorities are way out of whack right
really.
now. We need to have a chat.
The Hatch. And I love this thing because my phone is no longer on my nightstand.
Yeah.
And it's this other machine that is just for waking you up. And so I wake up, my feet hit the ground, I get out of bed, I get ready for the gym.
Is it a digital clock?
It's called the Hatch, and it plays sound, and like on the way to bed, it does this meditation thing. You
There you
scan
go.
your
Yeah,
body.
I
It's
like
very
it.
good for you. It's changed my sleep routine.
I'm telling
because
you,
I put my
feel
phone away before,
more rested. Yeah.
and then I wind down with Hatch, and then I wake up to Hatch, and my phone has not been touched as the last thing that I see or the first thing that I see.
No, I'm getting better about that. And like I
it's
said, the
changed my sleep.
tripod's like right here,
Yeah.
so it's holding my phone, and I'm going right to sleep, and then I'm waking up like 6 hours later. I'm like, oh my God, that's
It's amazing. Yeah.
Anyway,
So, real question for you before we wrap up. If somebody wanted to talk to you about Real,
Yeah.
Ask questions, pick your brain, how would they find you best?
SoooBoca,
you can
any of that
find
stuff.
me on SoooBoca. You can DM me. You can find me at the Michele B on Instagram. That's my exclusive realtor Instagram. You can text me. You can reach out to you and send them my way. I'd love to talk to people about all the above.
Perfect.
Happy to.
Perfect. Wonderful. Anything else?
No, I need you to come check out my bar and tell us what you think.
Oh, yeah.
What bar?
So
Called
Del
Bounce.
Rey.
Huh? What is it?
So Delray, it's called Bounce. It's a
Oh,
sports
really?
bar.
Okay,
I'm
so
one of the
we'll talk
investors
about
in the
that.
bar. Yeah, you'll have to come check it
I
out.
have some friends that are some influencers. Maybe we could do a little influencer event there.
Perfect. Love it.
All right, we'll talk about that.
Magic.
There you go. The negotiation begins.
Mastermind. I'm going to watch this one.
Thank you
was
so
so
much
great
for coming
having you.
on.
This
It
was
was
so
awesome
fun.
to meet you.
I'm so happy to do something in person. Like I said, normally I have shorts on and no shoes.
Yeah, we got it. We had to bottom dress today.
I did. Jeez.
I love that. Thank you for coming. It
My
was
pleasure.
blast.
Thanks for the invite, y'all.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Okay, that's enough whining for one day. We are so happy that you could join us today on Stop Whining About Real Estate. So please, not only listen, but subscribe, follow us, download, share, and if you're feeling it, give us a 5-star review. Hey, and if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email stopwhining@choicemortgage.com. Thanks so much.